Okay. It would appear that I'm recording if I'm looking at all the right things. So, alright guys, how's it going everybody? It's, what is it? It's Wednesday, April 10th, 7:21 p.m. I'm just chilling here in the dojo, whatever you want to call it. I still need to make up a new nickname for my dope-ass room. It's really just my room, but it's like the whole getaway, you know? It really is a dojo. It's like a sanctuary, in all honesty. But give me just a second. Let me close the door so I can be loud as I want to, whatever. Hang on. Okay, so alright guys, so the last, like one of the last few videos I uploaded on my YouTube page was about me trying to start a podcast and like get these things started. And if you watch that video, you'll notice there's no microphone or microphone stand. I had a pretty janky camera set up. But at least now now I've got a legit setup. I got a condenser microphone, I got a mic stand, I got a webcam, and I've made a lot of progress on as far as the podcast goes, because the reason I wanted to make this video was for a couple different reasons. First off, right off the bat, shout out to Stormy Hill. Stormy, I love you. You're doing God's work, and you're bearing the light for people. You are a beacon for light and for God and for spreading the truth and the knowledge that the people need to be enlightened with. And I you know, praise be to you for doing that, for sharing this knowledge, because it's really important. So I already gave it away, but hopefully you guys have been looking at this thing in the middle of my screen. I'll get to that later, but just browse it over while you listen to me talk, right? So it explains itself. But the reason I'm making this video is because Stormy really I watched Stormy's video from April 8th on qualifications, and it really got me thinking about a couple different things, because in all honesty, qualifications and knowledge and things, I think about these things a lot. But back to the few videos I made before, what I wanted to do in these videos was I wanted to establish that I was going to get a podcast started. I didn't know how, I didn't know who it was going to be with, I didn't know what it was going to be about, but lo and behold, the universe manifested the proper situation for me to make this podcast happen. I didn't have to pay anyone any money. I didn't have to fill out any forms. I just told the world, hey, I want to film a podcast. And somehow or another, a man who's become my good buddy in a short amount of time, Brandon Roberts, hit me up and said, hey dude, you want to do this podcast? And that was no coincidence. That was a synchronicity for sure. Synchronicities, I call synchronicities meaningful coincidences. So that's how I term those, because coincidences, I think, is a loosely based term. I don't think they're real. I think there's meaningful things that happen in a scheduled agenda of the divine creator. But besides the point, one of the videos I filmed earlier on my channel was about like auditing yourself quarterly, which is like, you know, it's April 10th right now, so ideally I would have made this video like April 1st and been like, hey guys, what did you accomplish the first 3 months of the year? But instead I'm making it 10 days into April and asking myself, Isaac, what the hell have you gotten accomplished in the last 3 months, or the first 3 months of 2019? Because I'll be 28 this year, and in my mind the clock is ticking down to 30 years old. And I've only got 2 years to 30, and then I'm not sure how much time I got left till the grave. You know, none of us do. So I think about time in a weird factor. But what I'm getting at is, I had to ask myself, Isaac, what have you got accomplished in the first 3 months of 2019? And the videos you made earlier to set out, you know, what you talked about, have you gotten that accomplished? And it turns out I actually, for the most part, have. So what I meant to do, and I think I did, but I probably lost like the post-it note or sheet of paper I wrote it on, was like, you know, at the end of every month, look back and like write down your accomplishments. Like, even if you just like went on you had a good weekend, or like went and did something with a friend that you lost touch with, things like that. Try to give yourself a visual representation of what you have accomplished, like every month, and then just like companies do, you know, you do that every quarter, 4 times a year, and you have a pretty good readable or visual representation of what you have accomplished, and it gives you a feeling, and it feels really good to know you actually have something accomplished. But I mean, I'm digressing, and I don't know. I just felt so compelled to make this video, and I just messaged Stormy and I said, "Hey, you inspired me to make this video. I'm gonna film it right now." And she just messaged me back, and I haven't even read it yet, and I'm not going to. But again, Stormy, I love you, and Stormy and I have an awesome, weird kind of connection. We were like in California at the same time, and we've come back here, and we haven't really reconnected yet. But I know in my heart and my soul that I truly feel that we are two individuals who are doing our best and giving our full energy to the world to be ourselves, to be the most we can be, and to also understand this thing that is the complex dynamic of life, which is finding the balance of spirituality and personal identity and so many very intricate, complex things that are not easy to pin down. So her video, just to get right into it and quit rambling, I guess, her video was about qualifications, and she talked about how, God qualifies us all to do what we are set out to achieve. And it reminded me of this chart that I've seen recently, and I don't know how to say that. I wish I was more well versed in the tongues of other language, but Ikigai, maybe. If you know how to say that, please let me know, because I want to know how to say it correctly. But this little multiple crossing Venn diagram of Ikigai, it's a little bit of a directional way to live your life. In the middle you have true Ikigai, which is the word for this Venn diagram of what the world needs, what you can be paid for, what you're good at, and what you love. And then when you move into the Venn diagram, you have your professions, your vocations, your passions, your missions, and where all of those meet is that true Ikigai. You could say it's the zone, or it's, I don't know, we all have this ideology of what being in the zone is, or when we do something we like or love or are passionate about, you feel a certain way. And I can almost guaranteed 100% say that the people watching this knows what I mean when I say we all know what Ikigai is. Even if we can't put our finger on what it is, we have felt it. But that's the tricky thing, is figuring out what it is and then asking yourself, okay, is this a feasible way to live my life? And one of the hardest parts, I believe, of finding out about new ideas and practices and disciplines is putting them into effect, right? So it's really easy to form bad habits, but it's really hard to break bad ones. You know what I'm saying? And I really believe that. So when you approach things from this aspect and ask yourself, what do I love? Okay. What does the world need? Okay. What can I be paid for? All right. And what am I good at? So if obviously you probably need to make a list of these things, and it's really important that you do so, because doing so will visually, reassure you of the things that you're good at and what you love. And it's really easy. I don't know, I'm sure plenty of you have heard about the recent Spark of Joy. I forget the designer's name. A lovely woman who introduced this idea about if you're trying to go through things and you have too much stuff, if you're a bit of a hoarder, you can go through your stuff, and the easy way to identify whether to keep it or not is does this bottle of whiskey give you a spark of joy? If it doesn't, you should throw it out. But if it does, you should keep it. And now, not to promote alcoholism or drinking or anything, but the premise of the idea is, if something material in this physical reality, in the realm of the world we live in, gives you joy, sparks a feeling within you, that's usually a good indicator to keep it in your life. On the exact opposite side of that, things that spark bad feelings are very easy to identify. Oh, I need to get that shit out of my life. So look at it that way, kind of. Man, I lose track of my thought too many times, but yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy making these videos and thinking about these things, and talking to the camera about them, because I don't know who's listening, but if you are, I really thank you, and I hope you're getting something out of it, because I hope some of it makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense to you, hopefully it'll make sense to me when I watch it back, and maybe I'll help myself. I don't know. But I guess to round it all off without making this video entirely too long, I feel like I'm gonna be 28 years old, and I'm still asking me. My nephew's 9, and he asked me when I gave him a ride to my house for the weekend one day, and he was sitting in the back seat of the car, and I was driving him for the first time. It was kind of like a big cool thing, that you know, his uncle got to give him a ride for the first time or whatever. Shout out to my sister for entrusting me and driving. But my 9-year-old nephew from the back seat of my car while I was driving asked me, "Hey Isaac, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And that hit me pretty hard, you know, because it made me realize, you know, grown up is an idea. And I don't think any of us know really when we hit it, or if we're already there, or if we're past it, or like, you know, wisdom comes with time. But grown up, is that 18? Is that 21? So him asking me that, you know, I think my answer was, I still don't know. And that's really the truth, man. You know, like the beauty of life is that every new experience will open your eyes and your mind and your heart to new possibilities. And it's important to embrace those new possibilities and know which ones you welcome and which ones to turn away at the door. Because it's never too late for a change of heart. You know, I encourage you to not be so set in your ways that it prevents you from changing course, because the fork in the road is the best thing that ever happened. You know, like whoever was the dude who was like, "Hey, let's put a fork in the road right here so we can go a different direction." Shouts out to that guy, because I really identify with that. There's been so many times in my life where I've been like, oh, I'm so gung-ho about this thing, and, you know, maybe it's the ADD or ADHD inside of me, but, like, I can only keep focus on one thing for as long as I'm hyperly obsessed about it. And I either choose to learn as much about that thing and master it as I can, and if I can't do that, I try to achieve some degree of acceptable practice of whatever I'm trying to learn about. And then I usually close the books and move on to the next thing, whatever captures my interest the best next. But it's so hard, and that's why I shout out to all of you people who have done 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 or 10 years of school, and you guys have your degree and you're practicing in your field. You know, that's insane. I know people who, I remember my buddy Colin, you know, he told me way early on, he was like, "Hey man, my grandpa told me everybody needs to be warm in the winter and cool in the summer, so I'm going to be an HVAC technician," basically, is the gist of what he told me, like, before high school. And that stuck with me forever to this day. I was like, that's, you know, if you feel a calling for something, it doesn't matter whether you're qualified to do it. All of us have the ability and the knowledge and can form the discipline to be qualified for whatever we feel called to. But it's important to ask yourself, to look within, to ask God, to ask the forces that be, whatever they may be, whatever you believe in, whatever you don't believe in. But it's so important to center yourself and say, self, what am I doing? You know, what am I trying to even get accomplished? Because if you don't do that, you will soon find yourself in an old age and asking yourself where the time has went. I already asked myself that, and I'm only 28. Where has the time went? The time has went in living. And every single day when we wake up, it doesn't matter whether you want tomorrow to come, the sun is going to rise. So you might as well try to be as best prepared for it as you can be. And before I digress too much, I think I'm almost 15 minutes yet. But I just thank you guys for watching. Shout out to Stormy and all the other people I mentioned. I really appreciate all of you guys, and I love you and all my friends and family. Anyone watching this, you know, namaste and much love to you and appreciation for listening, because I think we all have a real longing to connect. And maybe that's why I make these videos. Maybe that's why you checked this social media feed. But our longing to connect is far greater than our desire to accomplish great worldly things, you know? Like, yeah, maybe you do want to set out and change the world, but chances are if you can affect somebody other than yourself, it's going to give you a really good feeling. And I'm all about connecting with one person or connecting with 1 million. I've always felt like we're all geared towards accomplishing something together, because only so much can be accomplished as an individual. Only the greater good of humanity can be accomplished together. Thanks for watching and listening, guys. I'm Isaac Mason, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.